Good morning, welcome to day 16. Today is all about human design centers. So yesterday, I went over an overview of what they are, what does it mean to be defined or undefined. Today, I'm just going to run down the quick meanings of these centers, mainly when they're open, so when they're white or undefined, because that is when you need to make sure you keep them in check as a part of your decision making process. So let's get started. So, yesterday we went over the head. I don't know is your mantra. Open ajna, I don't care is your mantra. And yesterday we went over an open throat. Do I need the attention? I don't need the attention. Is the mantra. Things to keep in check as you're making the decision process. After that, let's go to the G center. So the G center is the diamond in the middle of your human design chart. This center deals with self-love and who you are and identity. If you have it defined, you have a very defined way of showing up in the world. It does not mean you're using it in the highest frequency you can. However, you have a defined way of showing up in the world. Now, when you have it open, it is actually beautiful because you don't have to define yourself. You can go through life and just enjoying what you love in those moments. So as an open G center, your mantra is simply, I am what I love at this time. That's it. You don't define yourself by career, by money, by identity. Just you don't have to define yourself. So then you have an open ego. So the heart center or the ego center is very, very important. The biggest thing here is commitment. So people with defined heart or defined ego, those are the people who commit wholeheartedly to things. They're beautiful people to know. I actually don't have one. So for us, open ego, open heart center, we have nothing to prove. When you're making your decision process, you have nothing to prove. Whereas when it's defined, you have something to prove, even if it's just to yourself. But that open ego, you have nothing to prove. Keep in mind, if you're doing something and a commitment comes up and you, with any inkling, aren't comfortable with it, say no. Know why? Open egos tend not to follow through unless they're 100% passionate with what they're doing. For example, I go on Clubhouse with my friends, we talk about astrology, we do free readings, we love to have interactive conversations. They're on stage, like, we're gonna be here every week, just join the club, da-da-da-da-da. When we got off that call, I said, who gonna be where every week? Because I have nothing to prove, so I'm not gonna make that commitment. I know that for a fact because I have an open ego. So the mantra, I have nothing to prove. Now, let's go to the next, solar plexus. So the solar plexus is your emotional center. If you have it defined, please understand, embrace your emotions. They are what they are. They're gonna give you clarity. If you're not clear, you don't need to make a decision. You just need to ride the emotional wave. You need to enjoy the emotional wave. So whether you're feeling high or you're feeling low, you're feeling it. Don't let anybody try to change how you feel, because they're not. Now, with an open solar plexus or emotional center, you amplify the emotions you take in. So again, I don't have a solar plexus. I have an open solar plexus. I am emotional. Well, I was. Once I found out that the emotions I'm amplifying was not mine, it freed me in so many ways. So the mantra for an open solar plexus is my emotions do not matter. So in the moments I gotta make a decision, I do not consider how I feel. I do not make the decision based on my feeling. If I'm mad or happy or excited or depressed, it does not matter at all. This honestly was super freeing for me personally because I thought they mattered. Like, I'm a Cancer sun, Cancer rising. My emotions were everything to me, and I listened to them. And once I found out I was not supposed to listen to them, my life dramatically changed. On the flip side, my best friend, all three of them have emotional centers. Guess what? When they started trusting their emotions and waiting on clarity in how they felt, their lives got better. And remember, if you have an emotional center, that is your authority. You need to learn how to use it, but your aura is always most important. So next we have the sacral. So the sacral is your life force, energy, sexual urges, creativity. This is the home of the generators and the manifesting generators. If you do not have this defined, you are not a generator or a manifesting generator. If you have it defined, you definitely are one. This is your gut feeling. If you have it defined, you need to trust the gut feeling. Even if you don't, you have to learn to listen to it because that's where your wisdom is going to come from. Now, if you have a open sacral center, it's okay if something doesn't just absolutely excite you, because you have to consider all your other centers at that point, because you do not process stuff through your gut, through your sacral. It does tell you things about your body. However, that is not where you process your information. So the mantra for an open sacral center is simply, I don't have the energy to do this right now. Because you may need to do it later. Because when it's time, you will know whether your emotions are clear or your spleen will talk to you or you get the mental inspiration and download, but it necessarily won't come out of your gut. Now the next center, the spleen. So the spleen, that is our intuition, that is our instinct, that is survival. Now, if you have a defined spleen, you have a way of processing fear. You're more tolerable. You have an understanding of your instincts and intuition. They are triggered a certain way consistently. You tend to attract people with open spleens because you make them feel good. If you have an open spleen, please hear me out. This is still where you're wise. Learn to hear your intuition. Learn to listen to your instincts. Understand survival. And most importantly, know your mantra. Thou shalt not fear. Because that is what you feel more than somebody with an open spleen. A defined spleen. Because I feel fear, but I have a way of processing it. I think Artemis, that's not rational. What are we doing? And I'm going to keep going. We're the ones at the front of the line because what up? I ain't scared. Even when we are scared, we know we're not supposed to be. But when it's open, you have to keep that fear monger in you in check, because that natural defined way of processing it isn't there. So you have to process each situation separately. But thou shalt not fear. That is truly something created for somebody with an open spleen. My health matters. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. It helps with the fear. But thou shalt not fear. And last but not least, you have the root. Now the root is pressure. Pressure. If you have a defined root, you have a source of fuel and energy. So a generator or manifesting generator with a sacral inner root. I'm recording this at 4 a.m. after 2 hours of sleep, and I'm about to go all day. That's just it, because I'm doing something I love. So I have the energy for it. Like, I'm okay. Because I have a root, I have the fuel, I have the sacral, I have the drive. But if you have an open root, you're feeling the pressure to get things done. Your mantra is, I'll get there when I get there. Period. I'll get there when I get there. You feel like you have pressure to get things completed, like you're always running out of time. That is not true. The person that is running out of time is the one with the defined root. Now, defined root people, you'll notice you have a cadence. Once you get a cadence, that's about it. Your tempo is not going to change. Undefined root, y'all have the ability to actually rest and rest and rest and get up and do something that took me 3 months to do in a week with the same amount of force and energy. So you have nowhere to be. I'll get there when I get there is your mantra in every area of life when you have an open root. So just a summary, I don't know is the head. I don't care is the ajna. I don't need the attention is the throat. I don't have anything to prove is the will center. My emotions do not matter is the solar plexus or emotional. Thou shalt not fear is the spleen. I get there when I get there is the root. And your sacral is I don't have to keep up with anybody but myself. So that is just a real quick general description of what the human design centers are for. Now, of course, right now we're building your astro strategy. This is understanding your timing, creating a vision, and then building an execution plan to get things done. But when we're done with the planning phase, trust and believe, if human design and learning more about centers is something that interests you, follow me, subscribe, hit all the buttons, okay? Because I love it. I'm a manifesting generator. Trust and believe. We're going to talk about it all here at your Astro Strategy. Thank you for choosing day 16. I'll see you tomorrow.